Happy Sabbath, everyone. Welcome to Order. And first, give back the glory and honor to God. For He still wants to use me to share the Word of God. The message for this morning says, beware the deceptions. And I don't even know our lesson today. We're talking the same message. And I just realized last night that our lesson is, most of the message is from our lesson. And I think it's enough from our lesson. But I think, like Paul said in the book of Romans 8:28, everything works together for good for those who love Him. For those who are visitors, may God bless you. And let us feed from His word this morning. Jesus was at the end of His life, and the prophets, people of God, were plotting His life. He told them that their persistent rebellion would bring upon them destruction. Come with me to the book of Matthew chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23, verse 37 and 39. Jesus said, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gather her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. These tragic words Jesus told the Jews that their temple would be destroyed. This was a most stunning thing to predict, but he had been right too many times before to not take him very, very seriously. As we all know, the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. And for those of you you haven't understand or read about the history of the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, I encourage you to read. That's the first chapter of the great controversy, is the destruction of Jerusalem. From the message from Jesus that we read, he reiterated in Matthew 24. Come with me to Matthew 24. The disciples were convinced that when the temple was destroyed, Jesus would come the second time to this earth. They put the two events together. However, the two events didn't happen in the same time. The temple was destroyed in 70 AD, and Jesus had yet to come the second time. When answering the disciples' twofold question, Jesus only gave them one answer. That means that what he said applies not only to the events to take place around the destruction of the temple, but the same event would occur just before his second coming. That means Jesus said has a double application. Believe me or not. What Jesus said had meaning for people living around 70 AD, and his words have a meaning for you and me now. Let's read Matthew 24, verse 2 and 3. And Jesus said unto them, see not all these things, verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Verse 4 and 5. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. As we all studied in the Sabbath school this morning about deceive and that all this deception, what did Jesus tell us here about no man deceive you? If you continue reading the chapter, in verse 4, verse 5, and verse 11, and verse 24, Jesus repeats the same thing, to beware of the deception. When Jesus wanted to stress something, he would say, verily, verily say unto you. He would repeat verily twice for emphasis. But here in Matthew 24, for these things at the end of the half history, Jesus repeats the word deceive 4 times. And for us, we have to watch out and beware. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13. But evil men, seducers, shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. I encourage you, family. Some of our friends, they are so happy, they think the world is going to go back to normal. But according to what we have learned from the Bible, it's going to be worse and worse. But before going any further, let's see and very clear what deceive meaning, what the meaning of deceive or deception. Deceive in Greek is coming from the name expado. That meaning is mislead or cheat. From the Oxford Dictionary, it says, deliberately cause someone to believe something that is not true. To give a false impression. As we already have been known on Revelation 12, verse 9. And the dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world, not part of the world, deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And beware the angels of Satan. 1/3 of the angels. Jesus told us, take heed that no man deceive you. And how many times we haven't taken his word seriously? Right now, family, I have a question. How do you get all the information about the world, or about here in New Zealand, or wherever do you want to think? How do you get that information? I know we have different answers, but most of it is from the internet, media. It's clearly the media, but it's used very effectively to communicate to others. And we get a great part of our message or communication from TV, radio, newspaper, magazine, and the internet. Is it possible that the media we are listening to is controlling us sometimes? This week, yesterday, I have a chat with my parents back in the island of Tonga. Oh, I forgot to introduce to our visitors. My name is Atonio. I'm a Tongan. Grew up in Tonga. And all my 20s, about 20s, I live in Tonga. I moved here with my family when I was 30. And I praise the Lord for how He bring me here to New Zealand. I talk with my parents. I want to say, how are you? And they say, yeah, we are all right. But right here in Tonga, we have lockdown. No shop is open. And you can't go anywhere. You just stay here and hear the radio and the television. And so sad. It's always sad to hear my parents because I haven't seen them face to face since I came here. And when all those, something about COVID, all the vaccine and all those things, I already agree with my parents before. I already share with them all the information that I have learned about the deception of the devil. But finally, they end up, they have their own decision. I can't force them. Jesus warning us, family, should be ringing to our ears. And to understand the fact that the media is the way we receive the message today. And just question to yourself. I want to share, if any one of you hear a man named John Swindon, there's a journalist in United States 100 years ago named John Swindon. He's one of the managers of the New York Times in the States. Maybe if you heard it, but he have a message here I want to share with you. He declared this at one of the press club dinner in his honor. He said this: there is no such thing at this stage of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it, and I know it. There is not one of you who dares to write your honest opinions. And if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinion out of the paper I am connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things. And any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out on the street looking for another job. If I allow my honest opinions to appear in the one issue of my paper, before 24 hours, my occupation would be gone. The business of the journalist is to destroy the truth, to lie outright, to private, to vilify, to faint at the feet of Mammon, and to sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it, and I know it. And what folly is this toasting an independent press? We are tools and vessels of rich men behind the scene. We are the jumping jacks They pull the strings and we dance. Our talents, our possibility, responsibility in our lives are the properties of other men. We are intellectual prostitute. The source is from the Labor Untold Story by Richard Boyer, published in 1955. So this journalist in the state, you can Google up his name. He declared they are the tools of the rich man behind the scene. And they are the puppets in the hands of the wealthy that control them. In order to save their job, they get ready to lie and deceive the whole world. That's what Jesus told us in Matthew 24. John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. As we all know, Satan, since he was cast down to this world and deceived our first parents in the Garden of Eden, it continually, the same thing as us today. All of us, we have different ways of absorbing our information from the internet and wherever do you want. So said, sometimes I get together with my kids in the evening after their homeschooling, and they don't even know what happened around the world, the wars and all those things. Because at home, I'm not allowing, there's no TV at home, no radio. We just focus on study the Word of God, the Spirit of prophecy. And it's so sad when you look at them, they don't even know. But I have to share with them what happened in this world right now. But I haven't tell you guys that the media is not good for us to watch or hear from there. I like the verse, John chapter 4, verse 1. It says, First John chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of good, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. I want to share with you a story. All my 20s, I worked as a police officer back in the island. Sorry about that story, but I just want to. And I never forget in my mind, one of our instructor, that's what he teaches us. Don't believe anything someone tell you. Believe it, and you don't believe it. But you try by yourself to know the truth. And I never forget that. And I remember one time when I worked as a traffic, and I came to the driver and asked him his name and his address, and he lied to me. But no, but because I never forget what our instructor teaches, I come back to the back, the youth, all his children live at the back. And I had to ask the kids, what's the name of the driver? And the kids tell me the right name. So that's the basic for all the police. They're not going to believe you the first time you share with them any information. I tell you now. But they have to look for the truth. And I think the same application for us. We don't have to believe every news and every message we hear. But we have to test it. It's true or not. But the truth still be the truth. The Bible, the Word of God, still be the truth. John 14, verse 6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come unto the Father but by me. John 17:17. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. All of us Seventh-day Adventists, we believe, and I think in all the Christian, the word of God, that's the only the truth. Amen. We already look at the main pictures of what happened in the world from the truth, from the prophecies. We're going to talk it there later. I always come here and look at the pictures at the front here. When I grew up, I born Seventh-day Adventist. When I was young, I know the sign of the church is three angels. But now, I don't understand. But I think all of us, we understand what happened and why our logo is changed. But that's the one that I grew up and I saw the three angels in the book of Revelation 14. All of us Seventh-day Adventists, we should understand that message about the visions that John saw. And you know, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. Did anyone know that verse? Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy he is. Brothers and sisters, if there's no visions, we are perished. So we have to learn about the visions, about the dreams in the Bible, and the prophecies. Many prophecies in the Old Testament, in the New Testament. The Bible, the Word of God will set us free. The first angel's message, that's what John saw. Having everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth. That's Revelation 14, verse 6 to 13. And to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea and the fountains of waters. The second angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the last angels saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. As we all know, these three angels, they have an everlasting gospel. If you look at the Bible, there's different gospel of John, but this one is different. Everlasting gospel. It's everlasting. If something is everlasting, think about it. Why is everlasting the message? And the second angels, so the first angels give us command, give us something to do. Worship only the God. We know we have other denominations and other churches. They don't believe in God, but this is the everlasting message from the first angel. The second angels give us warning. You know, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. You can see these angels remind us and warn us about a power, or if you want to learn more about the prophecies in the book of Revelation, Daniel, you will understand what the warning from that second angel message. The whole world, they drink of the wine of the wrath of the fornication. And angels number 3 tell us the punishment of the people, for those who receive the mark on his forehead, on his hand. And if anyone worship the beast, you have to understand all those beasts in the book of Daniel and Revelation. If you understand, and if you know, I always share with my friends, they still keep Sunday as their Sabbath. Did you know there's a power they changed the law of God from keeping the 7th day to keep the first day? And they don't even believe me, you know. But when I share with them, go and read Daniel 7. You will understand. Daniel 7, chapter 25, it says there, that power, they changed the laws, you know. And never forget, without visions, the people, they are perished. For us Seventh-day Adventists, as most of the reformers of the Protestant church, we all believe that this power here that we read is the papal power. It's Babylon, the mother of harlots, the mystery, the abomination of the earth, Revelation 17 and 18. She is the Antichrist and the man of sin. And again in Revelation 17 it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of the fornication. Verse 18 of Revelation 17, and the woman which thou sawest is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. On these prophecies, you understand there, not only Satan deceives us, but he can use the kings of the world. All the world, they don't have, some of the country, they have kings. Like for us back in Tonga, we have king. But here in New Zealand, we have prime minister. But I believe it's the same. The message is all the political leaders, you know. And we can see here this power and all who working with her. Can be the political leaders, the prime minister, the president, or like that. And it doesn't stop there. If you read Revelation 18, 11 to 15, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. We can see now how Satan deceived the whole earth by using human agents. Are the partners in this time to cut off the plan of salvation for you and me. And also this false church is identified as an impure woman, mother of harlot. Then the harlot daughters must be some of the churches today that are following in their footsteps. Pray for a man who will stand up and declare the truth of God. Book Education, page 57 says, the greatest one of the world is the one of men. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is a true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right through the heavens fall. We already see now how Satan deceived the whole world. Do you think that he can deceive you and me? The second part of my message this morning, it says, Do you believe that you can deceive yourself? Come with me to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 22. James chapter 1. Hebrew James. James chapter 1, verse 22. Can someone read it for us, please?
But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
Unfortunately, there are too many people who spend their whole lives listening to the teaching of the Word of God, but spend not much time living it out. We can recite of the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, but we can't reproduce it in our life. James here speak out against this disconnecting between listening and living. When you're listening only, when you come here and hear the Word of God every Sabbath, and you go out there and still do the same thing, you deceive your own self. Not myself, but the Word of God says. Remember what Jesus said on Luke chapter 6, verse 46? And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? James chapter 1, verse 22, the self-deception comes from being a hearer only. We have to hear the Word of God and put it into practice every day in our life. John chapter 13, verse 17, Jesus said, if ye know these things, happy are ye to them. Verse 24, on James chapter 1, he says, for he behold, or 23 and 24, for if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. The glass refer to the mirror on ancient times. And that's what happened. When we look at the Word of God reflects back to us the truth of who we are. And tell us how sinful we are, you know. But what do you think? Why we always forget it? Why we always forget the Word of God, like in verse 24? I give you this message from the book of Psalms. Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 to 2. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, not standeth in the way of the sinners, not sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law. Truth he meditate day and night. Psalm 119 verse 11 is a well-known verse. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. Family and friends, it's really important for us to meditate on it in our heart, so we end up here and to the Word of God. So did not deceive us. Verse 25, but whoso looketh in the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the word, this man shall be blessed in his deed. If you come and fill your heart, your head with a Bible principle here, or wherever you are, or you study to be a theologian, however, if you don't put it into practice in your life, it's useless. And if you read the Bible and study the Bible, and it's hard for you to forgive your neighbors or others, you're supposed to do that. And you still carry around that grudges against someone, then you have not been faithfully and obedient respond to the word of God. It is enough for us to simply hear and know the Bible. You still deceive your own self. James reminds us that a faithful handling of the word of God involves hearing and obey what God has said. If you love me, keep my commandments. And there's a blessing, a happiness in life that can only come from obeying the word of God. Hear the word of God is important, but hearing alone is not what God intends for us to do with his word. And you are only deceiving your own self if you fail to connect your listening to your living. It's very sad when you read the history of the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. When I read the history of the destruction of the temple, when Titus' army came inside the church, the temple, it says in the spirit of prophecy, there's 1,000 of people, they share in the temple. And so sad, they killed them all, in blood in the temple. Why? Jesus already warned us. For those who are in Judea, to what? Flee to the mountain. God will deliver his people, especially in these last days, if you hear the word of God and put it into practice. Not only that, but the reality, the hearing only can be a sinful. James chapter 4, verse 17. Not myself. James chapter 4, verse 17. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. The reason why I'm so happy when I moved here to New Zealand, I grew up in Tonga, I keep Sunday holy. Because the 7 days in Tonga, they keep Sunday. And I just learned here in New Zealand about the right Sabbath, the 7th day, to keep it holy. I remind my family, I know my family, they watch from Tonga. I always share with you about the right Sabbath to keep. I saw before, while Tonga, they are locked down right now. The CEO of the custom, they say they will open today for the people to come and grab their stuff from overseas. And I know the Seventh-day Adventist people, they go and grab their stuff. But I want to warn you, it's not make sense to keep Sunday. If you are Seventh-day Adventist in Tonga, you watch me, together with the other denomination. Then what your message gonna send you? I love you all. If our Tongan people, they hear me. May God bless you and share with you the right Sabbath. Because that's the main key of the three angels' message. I want to share one of the quotations from the Testimony, Volume 7. Before Volume 7, Chapter 20, page 203, paragraph 3. Before accepting the present truth, some had formed the habit of novel reading. Upon uniting with the church, they made an effort to overcome this habit, to place before his class reading similar to what which they have discarded is like offering intoxicant to the inebriate, yielding to the temptation continually before them. They soon lose their relish for solid reading. They have no interest in Bible study. The moral power became enfeebled. There is manifest and increasing unfaithfulness, a growing distaste for life's practical activities. As the mind becomes perverted, it is ready to grasp and reading of a stimulating character. Thus, the way is open for Satan to bring the soul fully render his dominion. I encourage you, family, not just concentrating on the media. They may distract you from the Word of God, and not much time for you to study the Word of God. Testimony, Volume 7, but page 24, it says, if you love the Scriptures and search them wherever there is opportunity, that you may come into possession of their rich treasures, then you may be assured that Jesus is drawing you to himself. Family and friends, our safeguard from all the deception of Satan and this deception ourselves is study the Word of God, listening and do it. We go by faith, not by seeing what happened. The truth will guide you and me in the right way to follow, especially in these last days. May God bless you all and have a blessed Sabbath today. Our last hymn, the hymn number 35.